Hi, welcome to Becky's Garden Paradise. Thank you for joining me today where I'm going to share some ways for you to get the most out of your corn cobs. Whether you grew your own corn, you got corn from a local farmer, or you bought it from the grocery store. A lot of people, take the corn off the cob to can the corn or make corn salsa or corn relish, which I have a video about. And then they discard the cobs that are left over. But when I made my corn relish earlier this summer, I saved the cobs. Not all of them. I had so many cobs that I gave 2 loaded grocery bags full of them to a friend of mine that has chickens for her chickens to enjoy picking at. But I saved a little over a dozen corn cobs. I put them in a freezer bag and saved them for today. So early this morning, I took them out of the freezer. I got them in a stock pot. So what I'm going to be using these for is to make my own homemade corn cob jelly. And this is a new recipe for me. I'm excited to try it out and see how everyone likes it. So I froze a gallon-sized freezer bag full of corn cobs. The recipe for just one batch, which yields about 6 half pints, calls for a dozen corn cobs, and I had more than that. So I'm going to try to do a double batch, which I'm excited about. So I put the corn cobs in a stock pot and I simmered them on the stove for 45 minutes. And then I've removed most of the corn cobs, but I'm still going to save them for my friend with the chickens so that they can enjoy the little bits that are left over on these cobs. Another great thing that you can use the corn cobs for, besides making corn cob jelly, is you could include them in your veggie broth. If you make veggie broth, the corn cobs will add a very good flavor to your veggie broth as well. So I've already, like I said, simmered them behind me in the stock pot back here. I removed most of the corn cobs already. And I'm going to set these aside so that they can cool off, and then I'll bag them up for my friend to take, to her chickens. What I'm going to do next, I'll show you. Okay, so I went ahead last night and washed up my jars. I got those ready. And you want to pre-measure your sugar. So to make one batch, it calls for 3 cups of sugar, which I have pre-measured here. And I also have my pectin handy. And I am using the low sugar pectin. All right. And I have my large measuring cup set up behind me with a colander with a double layer of cheesecloth to strain the corn cob juice. And to make one batch, I need 3 cups. To make a double batch, I need 6 cups. So let's see how much I get. So I turned it off and removed the corn cobs. It's still pretty hot, but you need to strain it through the cheesecloth in the strainer to make sure you get any bits out of your corn cob juice. So I'm going to try to position it so that I can see what I'm doing. And let me get you guys situated so that you can see as well. Alright, so I'm just going to fold or move this cheesecloth this direction so that I can see the measurements on the side. So I need 3 cups for one batch. And I have the jars in my canner so that they can sanitize as the water bath canner is heating up. So this is a water bath canning recipe, jams and jellies you water bath can. I'm just pouring it a little slow to make sure that it goes through the cheesecloth. See, need a little bit more. All right, looks like I'm right on the money at 3 cups. And I'm gonna move the colander out of the way. Has a pretty golden color. I haven't ever had this before, but a lot of people rave about it. Some people say it reminds them of honey, or that you could use this for a honey replacement. So I'm just going to empty my 3 cups into this larger bowl so that I can try to measure another 3 cups. I know a lot of directions say not to do double batches of jams and jellies, but I know plenty of people that do it. So I'm confident that doing a double batch will be all right. Okay, and that's another 3 cups right on the money. So I do have some broth left over in my stock pot, and I'm definitely going to save that because that'll be a great addition to a soup. And then I'll just leave that in the measuring cup. I'm not going to worry about emptying that into the big bowl. So next I need to get the stock pot cleaned out. So I'm going to pour the remaining corncob juice into a container that I'll probably freeze, and then I'm going to wash out the stock pot so that I can get the jelly making process started for you. Alright, so this is the container that this is a pint-sized container that I can freeze the leftover or the extra juice in. So I'm still going to strain that through the cheesecloth. Let's see how we're doing. Okay, that's as much as I'm going to fit in there. I got a little tiny bit left in the stock pot, but that's okay. Okay, so I washed out my stock pot, and I'm going to go ahead and add the corncob juice back to the stock pot. Let me adjust you guys so you can see. Okay, so I went ahead and measured an additional 3 cups of sugar. If you're new to canning, just do a single batch. 3 cups of corncob juice to 3 cups of sugar. Gonna go ahead and add the corncob juice. I think it looks really pretty. Kind of reminds me of, super, super pale honey color. Like I said, some people compare the taste of this to honey. It's definitely going to have a sweet taste because it was sweet corn. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put this in the sink. Add my other 3 cups. Okay, now I need to bring this up to a boil. Alright, so for this recipe, I have the corncob juice on the stove heating up. It says to go ahead and add the pectin, bring it to a boil. Throw those in there and get my whisk. So that I can whisk it in. So it dissolves into the corncob juice. There you go. One of the reasons I'm making a double batch is because I definitely plan on gifting some of this to people, especially for Christmas. It's September, but you guys know Christmas will be here before you know it. So I'm going to give it a good whisk. Let's get that dissolved in there. Alright, so I'm going to bring it up to a boil, and then as soon as it comes up to a boil, I'll bring you guys back so that you can see how I had the sugar. Alright, so you guys can see that it's come up to a boil. And I'm going to go ahead and add the 6 cups of sugar because this is a double batch. It says add it all at once. A lot of times I make jam. I don't make too much jelly, but a lot of jam recipes just want you to dissolve the sugar into the fruit and bring it back to a boil for like a minute. This recipe says to add all the sugar at once. You want to make sure you mix it so that it doesn't stick and burn. Once you get it to come back up to a boil, you're going to let it boil for 5 minutes. And I'm going to stir it constantly, again, to keep it from sticking. So I got the sugar mixed in. You guys see the pretty color. And I'm going to keep doing this until it comes back to a boil. Alright, so it's boiling, but you want it to come to a boil that you can't stir down. So you want to have it boiling to where you're stirring it and it's still boiling while you're stirring it. Once it gets to that point, then I'll set the timer for 5 minutes. It's almost there. And you always want to use a larger stock pot so that it has room, because it'll really, you know, rise as it gets really, really hot and bubbly. You want to use a bigger stock pot than what you think you'll need so that you have space to help prevent yourself from getting burned or prevent it from overflowing. So see, it's still boiling while I'm stirring it, so I'm going to go ahead and set that timer for 5 minutes. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. I'll just continue to stir it like this until the timer goes off. Alright, so the timer's about to go off. I've been stirring it, stirring it, stirring it. It smells good. This is a very frugal recipe. You didn't have to go out and buy any fruit. You just use leftover corn cobs. And it's something different. That's one of the things that I really like about canning, is how you can make things that you can't find in the grocery store. Alright, here we go. So I'm going to remove the jelly from the burner. I've turned the burner off. So let me get relocated and I'll bring you guys back. Alright, so first I need to try to skim this foam off the top. I'm going to put that in a little bowl that I have here on the side. Wow, it looks so good. Okay, let's see how I did with there's just a little tiny bit. Let me get that. If you don't get that foam off, and you can see it starting, you can tell it's gonna gel up nicely. If you don't get that foam off, it'll be on top of your jar, and it's just, you know, takes away from the visual appeal of your finished product. Try to get some of the jam out. Okay, so I got most of it. All right, now I'm gonna get my jars in front of the pot so I can start loading them. All right, so I have the jars out of the hot canner. So this is a hot pack recipe. So you are loading hot product into hot jars. I think it'd be better if you guys are right there. Still playing around with my camera skills. And I'm just going to pour it in. I need a 1/4 inch headspace. So 1/4 inch is up to that top line right here. Here, let me turn it around. So it's up here. I'm going to add a little bit more. If you accidentally add too much, you can just take it out with a spoon and Still a tiny bit more to go. Just the teeny tiniest bit. I'm going to use the ladle. Let's check it again. And that is where we need to be. Good. Okay. So I like to load them in the canner as I fill them to help keep everything nice and hot. So I'm going to use a damp paper towel that's hot. Because this is sticky. So you want to make sure that you get that sugar, that stickiness off of your rim so that you don't mess up your seal. So, and this jar is going to be super hot too because it just came out of the hot canner and got filled up with hot jelly. I'm just carefully, because you don't want to tip it over. Just be careful, but make sure you get it wiped. Okay. Get the lid and the ring on. I have some Golden Harvest jars and this is a Golden Harvest lid. That's the Walmart, well, I don't know if it's only at Walmart. That's the cheaper brand at Walmart that I'm okay with using for water bath canning. I don't have too many of those left, so I wanted to go ahead and use it for this. Fingertip tight. I only use 3 fingers, and as soon as you feel resistance, that's tight enough. I'm going to go ahead and use the tongs to put them in the water bath canner that's still hot. So everything needs to be hot. And the water level needs to be above your jars by 1 inch. So if you have different size jars like I do for this, it needs to be 1 inch above your tallest jar for water bath canning. Ooh, I might have put too much in that one. Sometimes you get carried away. Let's look. Oh yeah. Let me get a spoon so I can scoop some of that out. Okay, let's check. That looks good. Okay. I'm gonna put the spoon right there in case I need it again. Gonna wipe this. Be careful, it's hot. Again, you want to make sure you get all the sticky off. If you can feel, if it's sticky to the touch, you need to wipe some more. So use a clean section of your paper towel to make sure you're getting it clean. That looks really pretty. Okay. I'll wipe some more right here. This is a different part. I'm going to put the lid and ring on this the same exact way. So these were the Golden Harvest jars, jelly jars, and these lids and rings came with them. That's, whenever you buy brand new jars, they're going to come with the lids and rings. But you can use any canning lid or ring. Just make sure you don't try to save money and buy decorative lids, because I know I've seen decorative mason jar lids at I think Michael's and Dollar Tree. So don't use those for canning. They're not for canning. They're just decorative. They're just for decoration. Alright, this is the third one. Okay, let's check that head space. I'm going to call that good. Going to give it a wipe down. Just checking with my finger to make sure I don't feel any more sticky. And this recipe, so you know, is from the National Center for Home Food Preservation. So you can look it up, Google it, find it, pull that website up, and find it. I know I was even concerned, you know, because this is a new recipe for me, about the acidity, because you don't add any lemon juice per their recipe. And they put a note that it does produce an acidic product. So rest assured, this is a safe canning recipe from the National Center for Home Food Preservation. All right, I'm going to continue to fill the rest of the jars. I'll show you what it looks like once I get my canner loaded. All right, so I have all the jars in the canner. I'm waiting on it to come up to a full rolling boil. So if you see, I have 2, 4, 6 half pints and 2 quarter pints. So 2, 4, yeah, 6. So good thing I did a double batch, because it said it made approximately 6 half pints, and I wouldn't even have gotten that if I didn't do a double batch. Alright, so I'm just waiting on this to come up to a rolling boil. Okay, and I want to show you, this was the leftover that I didn't have enough to fill a jar with. And you can see, like, and this also, I went ahead and dumped that part that had that foam in it. Because that's alright. You can eat it. It just, like, I would eat it. It's not going to hurt you. It's just the foamy part from the top. And you can see how that will be undesirable in a jar that you know, processed. But anyway, it's soft, but you can see that it is definitely jelly. So I'm just going to keep this for people to sample and eat on in the next week. So I'll put it in the refrigerator once it cools down a little bit. Alright, it popped as soon as I took it out. Jelly and jams usually pop really quick. I'm just going to put them on this towel over here. I always put the jars on a towel to help prevent thermal shock from the hot jars going on the cold counter. Also to protect the counter. See how quick they're popping? That's awesome. So I processed them in the hot hot water bath canner for 10 minutes. If you're new to canning, whenever you water bath can, when the timer goes off for the processing time, you always turn the burner off, remove the lid carefully, and then set the timer for 5 minutes to let everything settle down before you remove them from the hot canner. Most of them are popping before I even sit them down. A real pretty color. I'm pleased with the color. There we go. And that's all she wrote. Alright, so thank you for joining me today for this new corncob jelly recipe that I tried out. So once you remove your jelly from the hot water bath canner, you need to let them sit for 12 to 24 hours. And then I'll wash the jars with hot soapy water after I remove the rings, make sure everything's sealed, which I'm confident it did because I heard all those pops along with you guys. So again, after 12 to 24 hours, I'll remove the rings, wash them in hot soapy water. I did forget to put a splash of vinegar in my water bath canner today. I usually do that to help prevent the cloudy film from accumulating on the outside of the jars. That just adding a splash of vinegar to the water bath canner will help prevent that from happening from hard water. But anyway, I'll get them cleaned up and get them labeled and put on my pantry shelf, and some of my friends and family will be able to enjoy these as gifts. hopefully you like this recipe. Hopefully you give it a try. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you know anyone who you think may like to try this try this recipe, please go ahead and share this video with them. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please go ahead and subscribe. I look forward to seeing you again soon here at Becky's Garden Paradise. Have a great day.